It's on. Dave has it pulled up.
Warning, the Catholic Man Show is about to begin. If you're looking for dull, feel-good religion, or clap your hands, sit around the campfire kumbaya, you've come to the wrong place. We are dealing with toxic levels of authentic masculinity. I would say good luck, but luck is for pagans.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles in studio. We have Juan on the buttons. Thank you to Juan, as always.
Hey, thanks, Juan.
And we have our bodyguard Jim in-house as well.
So don't mess with us.
Don't mess with us because we have him.
Because he's here. You won't even get past the door.
No way.
Because actually he's sitting in front of it. You couldn't even open it.
Right. So
hey, Jim. Thanks, bro.
Thanks for being here, Jim.
In my phone, Jim is literally Jimbo Baggins.
Really?
That is his name in my phone.
Nice.
There's something about him that is just like begs to like come up with nicknames, like a new one every single time. You know, like don't recycle them.
I always recycle the Jim, just Jimbo.
Jimbo.
He calls me. It's like, hey, Jim. Hey, Jimbo. Oh, it's just what I do.
It just feels right. Does it just feel right to you? Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
Dave, so we're gonna be doing Exodus 90 soon.
Exodus 90.
It'll be our first time.
I'm super pissed about it that we're doing it, but it's gonna be good.
I'm excited about it.
I'm not happy about it.
I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about it in a not happy way.
Okay.
It's just the showers. I'm terrified of taking cold showers.
Right. That is the point.
If that wasn't part of it, I'd do it all the time or something. I wouldn't. But I would be much happier about the idea of doing Exodus 90.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cold showers. Okay. I dread it. I've been dreading it. I dread it still. And when I'm in the shower, I think maybe, okay, so I'll think, okay, you know what? Maybe when I take a shower next, I'll just do one cold shower just to kind of get ready. You know what I mean? And then I actually get there, about to take a shower, and I say, no way.
No, not
There's
gonna do that.
Zero chance of me doing a cold shower today.
Right.
Anyway, when the day comes, one thing that I can do is that when I commit to something, I do have the ability to follow through on a commitment that I make.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of other weaknesses, okay? So many, but that's like one thing that I can do well is I give my word.
Right,
I can actually do
you
it
with your buddies.
Yeah, but even if I just decide personally, like, oh, I'm going to take up this new devotion or whatever, you know, like the St. Bridget prayers.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I decided I was going to do them, and I've been over 6 years now.
I'm over
halfway.
Yes.
On the St.
Am I going to be one of them?
You're not. You don't need it. You don't need it. Not like the other. I've got 3 people.
That is presumption.
I have 3 people who need it a lot more.
Okay.
Than you do, at least at the time. Right now, you could become a heretic, like a bad one. You could invent a new heresy, Adam.
That is something I do not want to do.
I don't want you to do that. I'll be so mad at you. I might fight you if you invent a new heresy.
I would not do that. It's not something we have to worry about.
And I wouldn't want to do that because you box. I wouldn't want to fight you, Adam.
Right.
But because I love you, I would.
Out of love.
And I wouldn't tell you I was going to do it. And I'd bring a bat.
The element of surprise. Yeah.
I'm going to beat the heresy out of you.
That may work.
Yeah.
So we're going to revisit something this evening for our drink.
I like revisiting things sometimes, depending on what it is. Cold showers, not something I want to revisit.
But we're gonna have Jura 10.
We've done this. This is one though I'm glad we're revisiting because a way underrated bottle of whiskey. It's a way underrated Scotch. I don't ever hear anybody talk about Jura. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Kind of hard to find.
It is a lovely blend of a Highland and Islay Scotch.
It's like not something that you would think to do. Not many people doing this. The Islay and the Highland.
Right, but Jura,
they're doing it.
It's their own.
They're doing it well.
It's only the only distillery on that island.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like we said, it's Jura 10. It's on the bottle. It says a rich and rounded balance of subtle smoky notes with a sweet sherry cask finish. And that's because
it's a lovely bottle, really.
They age them first in ex-bourbon barrels, and then they finish it in Oloroso sherry casks.
Nice pronunciation of Oloroso, Adam.
Thank you. So we're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers.
Jimberly, cheers. You're too far away for me to clink your glass, but cheers to you, my friend.
So on whiskeywash.com, here are the notes. So I'll let you bask in the notes while you're drinking.
That's what I like to do. Bask in the notes.
Yeah, good. The appearance is a darker, redder whiskey.
I concur.
Bordering on copper. Is that the color that you would?
Yeah, I'd say it borders on copper.
Borders on copper. Okay, so on the nose, it has
depending on how much light you have behind. See, now it's like as I
get away from.
We have a lot of light
coming in,
flooding our way this way. Yeah, in front of, between me. Yeah. So anyway,
good. The nose is delicate. Fruity aroma characterized by orange, sweet apple, and oak with faint touches of ginger, sea salt, and light smoke. It gradually moves in a heavier, richer direction as the fruit gives way to a sweet, earthy vanilla, and the oak tastes on a peat smoke quality with touches of baking spices. That's the nose.
Wow.
That is...
Let me just tell you, there are some people out there whose olfactory are just on another level from me. You know, I would, in a million years, if all I did was smell this whiskey,
not be able to do that.
I wouldn't be able to come up with that.
I do smell the apples. It almost smells like a apple pie. On the palate, it says it picks up.
It smells really good.
It does. Good job, Dave.
Thank you. God, it smells good.
It says mellow vanilla, slightly smoky, like a creme brulee crust, but balanced by a subtle sweet flavor of golden raisins.
I need to eat more creme brulee crust, I think. So in order to enhance my whiskey experience, I'm going to tell Pamela, look, I need you to make me some creme brulee crust.
It says swallowing yields an unusual split second reset from everything.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, stand by. Stand by.
Split second reset, in which an earthy vanilla flavor gives way to a rush of mild peat smoke, followed by a firm but not overwhelming burst of spice that flares up for next. Man, these notes.
I don't remember anything you just said before I swallowed.
Okay, but that's okay.
I had a reset.
It was a reset. At the end, it says mellow, earthy vanilla coating. So these notes from the whiskeywash.com are very detailed. What do you think? So what are your thoughts? Do you get
here's what I think.
The peat with the?
I don't actually get a lot of peat out of this.
What about smoky?
I don't really pick up on much smoky. Do you? I mean, like, is it when I drink this? I don't think like, oh, there's smoky. This is a smoky whiskey. What I do think is that it has I get more like the rich caramel kind of flavors. What I get out of this whiskey is it's not like many other scotches that I've had. It kind of is unique, and it's unique in a really delicious way that if you want something, and because I'm a big picture guy, you know, if you want something to add to your whiskey collection that's going to be a little bit different from everything else you have, this is a nice thing that you can offer some of your guests
that most people would never
people
tried.
Won't have, that many people have never had.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't remember. Do you remember how much it costs?
Oh, I think it's about a $55 bottle.
So it's a little bit less than average.
Mm-hmm. For scotches.
Yeah, for a scotch. I kind of peg $60 as the average scotch.
Here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, for us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good one to have.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
I do too.
So,
in fact, I really like this scotch.
So let me tell you about it. What happened the other weekend with the boys? We had a mom mission. Big fan of mom missions.
Mom missions.
I love mom missions. People who have been listening to the show know that. And we went out to Southeast Oklahoma collecting firewood.
Yeah.
And we started cutting this black walnut, which is just such a beautiful. It's just such a beautiful wood. It's almost like sinful. I felt like to cut this up to burn because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, it would be nice to like build something.
Build
with.
something
Yeah,
with
yeah.
it, right? Because the grain and the texture of the wood is just so pretty.
And
so
it is like a real dark. You almost don't need to stain it. It's already such a rich dark color.
right, and the grain just pops. So I started cutting some of it, and I was like, no, we gotta go somewhere else. So I drove the truck elsewhere, and my boys are there, and I'm teaching them. Here's how you split the wood. I'm not letting them do it yet, but here's how you do it. And I'm sitting there like, teaching.
Watch me dominate this piece of wood.
Right. So I found this tree that was like dead. I cut it up. I set it on the splitter, and I hit it with all I had with the sledgehammer, and it did
Let me guess, nothing.
It did nothing.
I knew it because you brought some over, and this stuff is heavy.
Yeah. So it's
like a rock.
Yeah, because it's called Bodark wood, or Osage orange is another way. And it used to be the wood that Native Americans used for their bows, for bow and arrows.
Oh, really?
Because
it's
very
so
resistant,
hard.
and it's so it's so resistant. And so anyway, I'm sitting there like hacking on this. It took forever, and my boys finally said, "Dad, are you gonna keep going, or are you done?"
You gonna quit yet, Dad?
Yeah. So
No.
it's the mom mission. We'll be right back. They really were. They were like, and then I thought, nope, this is the opportunity that I get to show them. Like,
This is persistence. It's a virtue.
Perseverance. We're gonna
perseverance. Thank you. It's perseverance. It's a virtue, and it kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do this one. Like, I only did one, and I was like, okay, I'm cutting the rest of this.
See,
the crazy thing about the Bodark wood or the Osage orange is like the wood is bright yellow. I mean, I'm talking bright
Weird.
yellow.
That's
so
weird.
So I'm looking at this tree that's dead.
and this is dead, so it's aged.
So it's aged.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking, and I couldn't see.
Because when wood seasons, it turns like a faded, like oak.
Right.
It's like a bright. It's kind of like that rich yellow flesh, but then it turns gray once it seasons. I mean, it's gray.
Right, and that's what it looked like all on the outside. And so like I'm chainsawing this thing, and all of a sudden, because I'm thinking it's probably oak, is what I'm thinking it is.
Yeah.
I'm chainsawing this thing, and as I'm chainsawing it, like yellow specks are just flying everywhere, like bright yellow. I'm like, what the heck is this? And so after we split that first piece, I cut up a little bit more, which it probably dulled my chain so much because it just took so long.
Real hard.
It was really hard. And I finally cut up a little bit more of it, and I was like, I'm not splitting any more of this. And I just threw it in my truck, and because I wanted to ask him what the heck this was. I'd never experienced Bodark wood before.
Are you a sharpen the chain kind of guy or buy a new chain kind of guy?
Well, it depends on.
I don't even know how much it costs to get a new chain.
I'm not sure either, but it depends on how you're sharpening it. And I also don't know how much the chain costs. So if the chain costs like $100,
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Right.
But if we're talking, 20, 30, 40 bucks, I'm probably just going to buy a new chain.
Yeah.
Because I've watched a guy sharpen a chain with file.
It's a long process.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time. I got bronchitis.
Yeah. So.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Anyway.
Actually, I think I do have bronchitis.
Your voice does sound a little raspy.
You should have heard me this morning.
Really?
Yeah. You should have heard me trying to sing in Holy Mass this morning. It was atrocious. Is that your phone?
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Anyway.
Let's keep... Sorry.
Was that 12 minutes? Was that really 12 minutes?
I did not seem like it.
I gave you a 2-minute warning.
I know, but when you gave us the 2-minute warning, it was like, that's been 6 minutes.
Yes, let's keep going.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I am he who the Lord loves. Here with Adam Minahan, who is much more important than me. You don't even need to know my name. It's fine. Also here with Juan Posada and Jimbo Baggins Spencer.
Dave, have you noticed something behind me? Have you noticed anything behind me?
I have noticed it.
Look at that.
Check that out.
We have Joe Forler.
I'm just gonna do this real quick.
Yeah, do it.
Look at that.
To thank for that.
Look at that. Oh my gosh.
So I was just sitting there minding my own business today.
Minding your own business, not trying to do anything crazy.
No, in fact, I was trying to take a nap.
Were you?
Yes, because my daughter has been sick, newborn. We've been up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to try to get a nap.
Sidebar, I was playing with the girls today. We were playing Happy Birthday, which is where we went into the playroom, and apparently I was bringing the cake.
Oh.
And it was Mary's, my daughter's, it was her birthday, so we're having a birthday party for her. And all of a sudden they decided it's time for bed. And I was like, good. So I laid down on the couch and we turned the light. She's like, none of this is my idea.
Right.
But she's like, all right, we're going to turn everybody. It's time for bed. We turned the lights off and I was like, sweet.
Man, the difference between girls and boys.
Took like a 15-minute nap.
Nice.
Their nap only lasted like 3 minutes. Mine was much longer.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just minding my own business.
Yeah.
And Joe messaged me and is like, hey, check this out.
You need this.
You need this for the studio.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say, he gave a lot of good points.
In fact, didn't you try to say no?
I thought about, yeah.
You did say no. And he pressured you into it.
He pressured me into it.
This is really Joe Forler's fault.
Right. And so anyway, we have a humidor behind me now that holds 4,000 cigars. We don't have any of the cigars in there currently. It's being seasoned. But
personally, I think 4,001 cigars could fit in there. I think it's mislabeled. But we want to try to prove the manufacturer wrong.
So if you're looking for to get rid of some cigars,
you have thousands of cigars
we're open to taking some.
Are hurting you or like causing problems in your marriage or something. We want to help your marriage. We want to help you
send us cigars.
In your vocation to holiness. We will take those cigars off your hands.
That thing was heavy.
I can't believe how heavy that thing is.
Man.
I hurt my thumb is. I don't know how I hurt my thumb carrying it up the stairs. There was a moment. I know when it happened. It's when we were trying to make the turn because you have a turn in your stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And something. It's like my thumb is like swollen right here. It's not good. It'll be fine. But
anyway, I'm really pumped.
I'm a weakling.
We're
I guess.
slowly going to be changing the studio over the course of this year.
Yeah.
And that's our first piece.
Just like making changes and things.
So, Dave, the man gear today.
Is the man gear is this Juan, can you put it there you go.
There you go.
Is this Catholic trivia game? I recommend this game. I've had it for a while. And I kind of forgot about it. I kind of forgot that I even had it. I was at a party last night, an Epiphany party, and somebody brought it. And when they brought it, I said, hey, I have that game. And it's a very fun game. It's Catholic trivia. It's produced by Angelus Press. And it's really great because there's a lot of different ways you can use it. You can, just use it as like, hey, let me quiz you. In fact, we're gonna quiz each other.
Okay.
Which we should get to because
we're almost out.
We're already almost maybe at 6 minutes for this segment.
Okay. That's how my wife and I use it. We use it in
just for fun.
Just for fun. We pull a couple cards.
Everyone's
out.
a winner if you play it that way.
We pull out a couple cards, and as she's cooking dinner, we quiz each other.
Yeah.
And it's fun because it's like some of these cards, some of these questions you just don't hear a lot. It's like, oh, I didn't even thought about that.
But what I like is that it's designed so that you can use it if you have the game Trivial Pursuit. If you have that board game at home, you can just take the questions that come with that game and throw them in the fire or the trash can or the garbage disposal or anything and just get rid of them altogether. And like, who cares about secular trivia? No, we only do Catholic trivia, Trivial Pursuit in our house. So anyway, or you could keep them and like whatever, or you could throw them away if you want to really commit to your Catholic faith. So you can use it with the board game, which is way more fun for a Catholic audience. And so the categories are Baltimore Catechism, Latin Mass, Church History, Popes and Patron Saints, and other pious people. And then
is that where you would fall? The other pious people?
I'd be in other pious people.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure.
Ritual, symbol, and doctrine, and then there's an other category, just like other Catholic stuff. So it's very cool. And you don't have to play it with Trivial Pursuit. You can, just like we said, divide up into teams and like quiz each other.
Sure. Like I'm gonna do now. This one's under the Pope section.
Lay it on me.
I don't want you
I get to quiz you. I get to do it to you.
Who was the last non-Italian Pope before JP2?
I have no idea. Don't ask me that question.
Yeah, because I would have. Pope Adrian the Ninth.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking that, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, that was a tough question.
Name the sacraments of the living.
Of the living.
Of the living.
Okay.
My question is, name the sacraments of the dead. Like,
yeah,
what are those?
Yeah, I didn't realize you could receive sacraments when you're dead.
Right. It's like, I'm more interested in the dead ones.
Because a sacrament is an outward sign of inward reality, which would be very tough to do.
Let me just tell you that there are 6 here.
Okay, so
listed.
All of them but anointing of the sick.
Well, extreme unction is one of them.
Oh, extreme unction is one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Holy Eucharist, confirmation, matrimony, holy orders, and extreme unction.
So why is baptism?
Look, I don't know, bro.
Okay.
That's just what it says.
See, these are some of these are pretty tough questions. Where's the Baltimore Catechism one?
Yeah. Which one is that?
That's the C. That's probably the one I just took.
Okay, so those are on the yellow ones.
Yes.
Let me get some yellow cards.
What prayer should be said when the priest is giving absolution?
Something
you should pray every night before you go to bed.
Right. Yeah. The oh my God, I'm sorry for my sins. The
act of contrition.
Act of contrition. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah. What are angels?
Angels are spiritual beings created by God.
Angels are created spirits without bodies. I'll give it to you.
That's pretty. Jim, Jim approved that one?
Yeah.
Why? Whatever one. One didn't approve. Whatever. Why is the Our Father the best of all prayers?
Because it was invented by Jesus
himself.
It doesn't say invented though, does it?
No, it says because
invented.
It was taught to us by
invented is
Jesus
the wrong
himself.
word, but
Yeah.
What term refers to the 3 persons of the Trinity being of one and the same substance and essence?
Oh, okay.
I knew this one.
Of the same substance and homoousios.
Ooh, that's Greek. Can you give it to me in English?
You
got it right.
Yeah.
What is it in English?
I can't.
Consubstantial.
Consubstantial. Okay.
I'm gonna give it to you because, and I think I'll give it to you with a bonus point because you said it in Greek. What are the 3 original languages of the Bible?
Hebrew, Latin.
Nope.
Or Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic.
Aramaic, but Juan whispered in your ear.
I couldn't remember. That was bad.
Aramaic would be a tough one to know. That like,
I mean,
everybody knows Hebrew and Greek.
Yeah.
Well, which one was written in Aramaic? I guess parts of the Old Testament were written in Aramaic. Is that right, Juan? Yeah.
Which sacrament gives our souls the new life of grace by which we become children of God?
Baptism.
Yeah. See, so there's some questions on here that aren't like super tough.
Also, like, doesn't confirmation kind of, or I mean, can reconciliation kind of do that? Like, seems like it kind of would. What is the name of the devotion consisting of exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, adoration of the faithful, singing of hymns, the priest's blessing, and recitation of the divine praises?
Benediction? The benediction.
Benediction.
Boom. So anyway, I mean, there's some really good questions in here.
Totally.
And they're a lot of fun.
And
I mean, we could
there
sit here
are
and do
500 cards.
Yeah, 500.
1,500 questions. So
how much is this box?
$24.95 on angeluspress.com. I don't know if that. I'm sure there's shipping involved.
Mm-hmm.
Just Google it. It's called Catholic Trivia, traditional version. It says traditional version. We could not find any other version online.
Dude, so where is the priest's left hand when he blesses himself?
Is that really what the question says?
This is
a
real
priest
question.
can bless himself?
No, I mean we can all bless ourselves.
Oh, okay.
The correct answer is attached to his arm.
That's not what it says.
But that's accurate.
Not his pocket.
On his breast.
Over his heart?
Yeah,
Okay.
on his breast. That was it. I mean, so there's some really cool ones where. Oh, here's one on Father Michael McGivney. What are Catholic for? What's the Catholic fraternal organization founded by Father Michael McGivney?
I don't know.
Knights of Columbus.
Oh, yeah. I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that.
So there's some really good ones. It's a lot of fun to do if you want to
Just get it.
totally geek out with some other Catholic friends.
Word.
Sitting here drinking a little bit of Jura-10. Just got done talking about Catholic trivia. When we get back, we're going to talk about Catholic spirituality. Hang in there. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning
So
side.
raise your glass.
We put those away.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that.
I was like thinking like about a priest
yeah,
giving a
like-
blessing is like you turn your hand around and then you do a backwards sign of the cross.
I would not want to play this game with Father Donovan. Oh no. Because I would
He would win.
I would never be able to win.
I
Or
mean-
Thomas Lackey.
What was the question yesterday for Lucky?
Yeah.
Oh, the church is going to be eternal. What was it?
I don't even remember. Oh, like what is the It's like what is the name for the aspect of the church that makes it eternal? And I looked at the other side. I looked at the answer and I was like, I have never heard of this word. Nobody else knew. And I said, Thomas will know. And I asked him, and I asked him, what's the word, that is the aspect of the church that makes it eternal? And he goes, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, go away. Indefectibility. Indefectibility. And I was like, who
knows about indefectibility?
Like, Thomas, there's something wrong with you. It's good. It's a good thing, but there's something like deeply wrong with you that you just know that word.
It's not a deficiency.
No, it's not a deficiency. It's a good thing. But you should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed at your goodness.
You guys, to give a quick shout out to Pablo Sanchez.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like leaving
In
us.
the morning and going back to work.
Oh, Pablo. Shout out to Pablo. Isn't he from Saudi? Or doesn't he live in Saudi Arabia?
So it's in morning time for him.
It's in morning time for him. Shout out to Pablo Sanchez. Have a great day at work, man. I'm not looking forward to getting up and going to work tomorrow. But
Yeah, me either. Nobody is. Who does that?
Jim is excited because he's
Mr.
retired.
Mr. Retired over there. Every day's Saturday except for Sunday.
All right, let's keep going.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah, it's late. Let's keep going. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. We're going to be talking about Catholic spiritualities today, which is going to be a fun topic.
And the different ones. Some of the different ones. There's a lot of different ones.
Right. And why they're important. Why, as a Catholic man, you should maybe know some of them.
Yeah. Because we're all about knowing yourself
Mm-hmm.
here on the Catholic Man Show.
Mm-hmm.
We think that as a man, you should know yourself.
In as much as possible.
In as much as is possible. You're right. Yeah. Because then you can be better. You can be a better version when
Yes.
you know who you are.
So, okay, so why should a Catholic man even care about the different spirit? Because
Okay, so so there are different spiritualities.
But it seems like you can get overwhelmed. Like I don't know. There's a lot of them. Like so, why should I care?
Yeah, and it's like you hear people talk about the one I hear people talk about a lot, which we'll talk about today, is Franciscan. Oh, he's got a Franciscan spirituality. Why is that important? I would say because God has given us all different gifts. Okay, and so different aspects of the faith might resonate more with us. Okay, and so that could be an indication that the gifts you have been given by God are calling you in a specific direction. Okay, and so if you know, all right, these are some of my gifts, this is what these gifts are for, it can be a very important aid in discerning God's will for our life. When you know, hey, these are the gifts that I have, these are the talents I've been given, these are the things I should be cultivating. Now that I know that, I'm not going to spend time in these other areas because now I can kind of focus in on...
Have some laser focus.
Right, on what I'm going to be good at.
Right, because, there's so many... The church, in her wisdom, has given us so many different opportunities to different avenues and vehicles to get to God, to be exposed to God and His love and His mercy. Right. And so through her wisdom, she has said because there's so many different people in this world that act so, have, like you said, have different talents and things. Here's different avenues you can do because there's so many different ones. You can get overwhelmed with different devotions, right? Your St. Bridget prayer. If I did the St. Bridget prayer plus the...
You can't do all the devotions.
I can't do them all. I can't do them all.
Right, and you should resist
the temptation. It would be imprudent.
Because there's all kinds of amazing devotions. You have to resist the temptation to do them all. You have to say, you know what, these are the ones I've committed to. These are the ones I'm going to really invest in. Okay? And every now and then, maybe you do drop a devotion. That seems like a failure. But if you're saying, you know what, I'm going to let go of this devotion, I've been doing it for a long time in order to pick up something new, that's not a failure. That's something that should be discerned that's not something you should just do on a whim, of course. And especially if you have a spiritual director, which we highly, highly, highly recommend that you get a spiritual director under the counsel of a wise director. That can be really good for your spiritual life. Bring new fruits.
Right, because it's not a failure because as you grow, you always drop things. Like even in your, right. We go from middle school to high school to either the workforce or college.
Exactly. Good analogy.
So just because you drop something doesn't mean it's only going to be to help you grow. So how do you choose? Because there's so many different ones. How should we choose which spirituality to take on?
Okay, so I would say one good way to do that is look at what are your struggles. We all kind of have our...
What if the list is very long?
Yeah, it's a long list for all of us.
Okay,
but
good.
I think most people have a main list. It's like, of course, we're committing all these venial sins, but we have maybe one that we're
striving not to commit venial sins because we're striving
for
perfection.
Venial sins are bad, and even a venial sin bears an infinite penalty because it's against an infinite God. Right. Even the slightest...
You don't cut yourself off from God.
Right.
Grace.
Right. You don't cut yourself off from, of course, not from sanctifying grace, but in reality, all sin, the wages of all sin are death. Okay, so, but my point is that we all have kind of our major thing that, like, this is the thing I'm really trying to get better at, that I just cannot get past. So some spiritualities have different focuses, okay, where they like, this is really the main virtue of this spirituality. And if that spirituality, a particular virtue, is the thing that helps solve the struggle that you have, that can be really beneficial in moving beyond something, like very often, just like if you go to the gym, eventually you hit a plateau. If you're working out even diligently, eventually you hit a plateau. The same thing happens spiritually. So just like in the gym, you have to kind of mix up your workout. If you do that in your spiritual life, that can help you move beyond some of the things that you can't get past. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And there's there are differences in all of these spiritualities, and the ones we're going to talk about all represent an orthodox approach to the faith.
Okay.
That's important. None of what we're talking about is like, oh, kind of out there on a limb, like let's be willy-nilly with orthodoxy,
Right.
because we're not going to do that.
Not here on this show.
Okay, and there's overlap, of course. There's a drastic amount of overlap, but they all highlight different aspects of the faith, put more emphasis in one area or another.
And again, the only reason why they do that is because to get people to Jesus.
Right.
Because all these spirituality, all it is, everything is about Jesus.
Right. And what is it? Because you are made unique. You're not the same as anybody else. Okay. And so God created you with a certain gift and many gifts. If you use those, then that is your pathway to union with Him.
Right.
The little flower talks about how Saint Therese of Lisieux, how in the garden, God's garden, there's all these different flowers. Some of them are these big, beautiful roses. Some of them are small, tiny. We talked about this last week. And it's such a beautiful analogy. And how if, the little purple flower is trying to be the big, beautiful red rose, it's not going to work. Okay, so you need to know who you are,
right?
What God made you to do, and then focus on that.
So what are the four that we're going to talk about?
So today we're going to talk about Benedictine, Franciscan, Dominican, and Ignatian.
Okay. Now, we're not going to be able to talk about all of them, obviously, so we're leaving some off.
There's a lot of ones that I would love to talk about. I really wanted to get Carmelite spirituality in today. I just don't think we'll have time.
Which is fine. So go to the Frank Friar. He's a Carmelite friar in the Bronx.
Yeah.
And he's a great dude. So you can go look him up. Just Google the Frank Friar, and you'll find out a whole lot about Carmelite.
The reason I'm leaving out Carmelite is because the Carmelite spirituality is one really that fits best for the religious life.
Right.
And most of our listeners are laymen.
Right. Okay. So Benedictine. So let's start with that one.
Okay. So the Benedictine, I like to always start with the motto.
Okay.
Of the order. So all of these spiritualities stem from a specific religious order that was started, that the saint himself had a specific way of achieving holiness, a specific way of reaching out to God. So their order is ora et labora. So you have to, if you're a Benedictine, you have to ask yourself, do you like reading scripture?
Which ora et labora means work and pray.
Oh, yes. It means work and pray. Work and pray.
Okay.
Pray and work. Pray and work. It actually means pray and work. You'll hear some people say work and pray. But actually it's pray and work. And he put it that way because it was in that order.
Right.
Pray and then work. But even for him, their work, principally that they would do, is prayer. And so a Benedictine spirituality is one rooted in Scripture. Okay, so you have to ask yourself, do you like to read Scripture? They're one of formal prayer. So a Benedictine spirituality, if like spontaneous prayer isn't your thing, you prefer and like really resonate with maybe
that's me.
The office.
That's me.
Like, the divine office.
I'm more about structure. I have to have structure.
I kind of am
prayer.
too. I like structure. I do actually personally enjoy spontaneous prayer. And it's something that actually I feel like I am good at. But I do still need some structure. In my life. So, but if you like these formal prayers of the church, another big thing that's big with Benedictines is hospitality.
Yes.
I really like, that's a gift that I like to give to people, is hospitality. There's a couple of people that I have in my life, J. Thomas, the Thomas family.
Right. They're
phenomenal at hospitality. And
they're the ones who host us at Clear Creek Abbey as well.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. At Clear Creek, they're Benedictine.
Yeah.
So the Benedictine answer to spirituality is the scriptures, and it's the scriptural way. And that is according to Father Jeremy Driscoll. He's a monk at Mount Angel Abbey in Oregon. He says that Benedict tries to be nothing more, nothing less than the scriptures at full throttle. It's kind of a cool way to put it, right? To quote the Holy Rule, let nothing be preferred to the work of God, which refers to the divine office. The center of the Benedictine life is gathering of the church. for the various labors and praise of God. So the divine office, the prayer that they gather, that is their work principally. They do actually do physical manual labor as well, but prayer and work kind of is a little bit redundant because for the Benedictine, prayer is their work.
Right.
And so Saint Benedict, he kind of invented the liturgy of the hours. That was his gift to the church. So they're big on structural prayer, very, very liturgical. So if that's you, you should pursue a Benedictine spirituality. And we're going to have to really focus on...
We're going to have to really laser in.
Yes. We're going to talk about the Franciscan spirituality when we get back.
Okay, and then Dominican, and then what was the last one?
Ignatian. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back here on the Catholic Man Show. Sitting here with David Niles. I also wear a scapular, dude, which is a Carmelite.
Carmelite, yeah.
Yeah.
I do too.
A lot of lay people wear those.
That's true. Good point.
So.
Good point, bro.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Just do it, Juan. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. This is David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We got Juan Posada and Jim Spencer in the house.
Nice Winged Hussar shirt.
I was just gonna do that. Like, check out my shirt.
That is a nice
I don't know
Winged
if you can
Hussar
see
shirt.
it. Winged Hussars. You may have to zoom in, but you can do it later.
You can check out our episode on the Winged Hussars.
I got this from my mom for Christmas.
Sweet gift.
Manly gift from a mother.
Sweet gift.
Okay, so let's talk about the Franciscan spirituality. We
All right.
just talked about the Benedictine. The Benedictine is a very important one. They're the oldest. They're
of the Western.
Of all the, there's like Saint Anthony of the Desert,
Right.
who kind of started monastic life even before Saint Benedict,
Right.
but he doesn't have a spirituality so distinct as Benedict.
I can't believe you're leaving out Carthusians in this whole thing.
Well, we can, if we have time, that'll be a bonus. A bonus spirituality is like, hey,
that appeals to a lot of
if
people.
you hate people, then Carthusian is you. Okay,
is the way to go.
Like, I just don't want anybody.
Shout out to all the introverts.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm uber introverted. I hate you. You're a Carthusian. I hate you and I love God. And I love you more when you don't talk to me. Okay, so the Franciscans, their phrase is Pax et Bonum, which means peace and the good. Okay, so the thing about the Franciscan life, the Franciscan spirituality gets the rap of like being kind of the hippies. Oh, let's get out in nature. You know, I find and meet God in nature, and that's true of the Franciscans. I mean,
but Saint Francis gets kind of a bad rap.
He does. I mean, it's like he gave like the he was preaching to the birds.
Yeah, but he had like an exorcism, no, not an exorcism. I'm sorry, stigmata.
Stigmata.
Like he went through some crazy stuff.
Actually, like in touch with nature isn't actually the primary thing about a Franciscan spirituality. When it comes to their spirituality, you have to ask yourself, does the simple life attract you? Do you want to see all of life as a gift and all the creatures united with Christ? So, in that way, there is, he was big on animals, sure. But really, the thing that makes the Franciscans unique is their simplicity, their poverty, and their love of the poor.
Father Benedict Rochelle, God rest his soul, he was a Franciscan, correct?
He was.
One of the best things I've ever heard from him was, how we all pray the rosary, and it's really tough sometimes to like meditate on the rosary whenever you're, let's say, driving or you're at a bus stop or wherever you're at. He said what he would do is he'd be praying the rosary, and each Hail Mary he would pick somebody like even just out of
this
public.
Hail Mary is for that guy,
for this guy,
for
and
that lady,
and this person, and this person. So.
Yeah. In fact, let's just quote him.
Oh, okay.
He says that Franciscan spirituality is very simple, very personal, and very devotional. Okay, it means that when he means devotional, he means that it's related to the personal, individual prayer. So, and it's all about Christ and Our Lady. Franciscan spirituality is big on Our Lady, which who's going to hate that? An emphasis on simplicity, humility, and care for the poor. It's not a complex spirituality. Okay, so they're very straightforward, very simple, and very devotional. So that's kind of different from the Benedictines, where the Benedictines are coming together, as a monastery. So the Benedictines are still kind of isolated in that they're in a monastery. They're not in the public. They're not part of public life. That's
some of them.
Well,
Yeah.
The classic Benedictine is monastery, but still a brotherhood. They're coming together for their prayer, whereas Franciscans are out in the public life, but their prayer life, well, they have prayer together in a community, but it's still very devotional. So it's about like just me, kind of like more of, I hate to say me and Jesus. That's I don't want to use. But it's still very personal in that way.
It's a personal relationship.
It's very simple.
Yeah, sure.
And so they find God in nature. They have an emphasis. One thing is that they emphasize the good of creation. So like some spiritualities might emphasize the terribleness of sin and how the fall of man, concupiscence, how that has brought us down. Franciscans don't so much worry about that as they do focus on how great and how beautiful creation is. Okay, so that's why they kind of get the rap of being all about nature. So then next, let's talk about the Dominicans.
Okay.
Their motto is
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to
A lot. I have a lot of Dominicans. Father Gregory Pine.
Father Gregory Pine. That's what I was thinking of. So
Father
their phrase is Laudare benedicere predicare.
Boy, you butchered that, I'm sure. Keep going.
I think I actually got it right, but
what
we'll
does it
see.
mean?
That means to praise, to bless, to preach.
Okay.
So you have to ask yourself, do you love to study and have a passion for explaining the faith through writing and speaking? The Dominican spirituality could be for you. So Dominicans really put an emphasis on philosophy, understanding the way things are, the truth about things, because for them,
what is the essence?
Yeah, exactly. Truth brings them closer to God. The more they can know, the more truth they can come to understand, the more they can understand about God. Okay?
And that way, and the more they can tell other people about it.
Right.
Because they're all about preaching.
Right. And so they love to share the fruits of their own contemplation. Right. So Dominicans are a contemplative order, pondering and just really coming to know knowledge. So if you're kind of a Catholic nerd, maybe the Dominican spirituality.
Desire to be a Catholic nerd.
Right.
Check out Aquinas101.com.
But the thing is, like, if you don't have the mental capacity to really grasp philosophy,
right,
you're never going to be a Dominican.
Right.
Okay? That's just not something that everyone
Thanks
can do.
for bursting my bubble, dude.
Sorry, Adam. You're not a Dominican.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Finally, let's get to Ignatian, because Ignatian is really, I think, the sweet spot for most people. I like to call it Ignatian, not Jesuit.
Society of Jesus.
What are we talking about? Spiritualities. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Ignatian kind of is the bringing together of all of these, because the Ignatian spirituality is contemplation in action.
What's their motto?
Their motto is ad maiorem Dei gloriam, for the greater glory of God. Okay, so you have to ask yourself: do you long to know the will of God in all things? Is a straightforward, no nonsense approach that finds God in the everyday? Is that something that's appealing to you? Then Ignatian spirituality is where it's at. Saint Ignatius is known his spiritual exercises. So his spirituality is all about the practical. With mission oriented, where like, hey, let's make you as holy as possible. Here are practical rules. Here's a practical set of things to do every day that are targeted at making you holy. Things like the daily examen. He's well known for his examination of conscience at the end of the day. And he gave rules to follow in almost every situation. So they seek to find God in all things. It's a spiritual system designed to make you holy. Okay. So of these four, which do you think has the most saints?
Ooh, that's a good. The oldest of the four. So
Benedictine. Wrong. I'm talking about canonized saints here, and this is according to Wikipedia.
Okay.
Just full disclosure.
Sure. Dominican.
the Franciscans have 64,
Wow.
followed by the Ignatians at 49,
Okay.
followed by the Benedictines at 45, and they're the oldest, so
Wow.
you think they'd have the upper hand.
Right.
Followed by the Dominicans at 27. So I didn't know this. I decided these are the spiritualities that we're going to discuss today. They also are the 4 spiritualities that have the most saints.
Nice.
So I didn't.
So which one are you? Like, which one do you resonate with?
I kind of like the Benedictine structure of things,
Mm-hmm.
but I also like the Franciscan, I do like spontaneous prayer, the devotional side. So put those together,
Is where you're at?
Ignatian.
Ignatian.
You get that. I think most people probably will benefit most from an Ignatian approach to the spiritual life. Most lay people certainly.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be way wrong.
Right.
But Saint Ignatius was a warrior. He was a very successful, really, warrior, and was very good at seeing a problem and attacking it with a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took those same principles to the spiritual life. And that's just what you get. The spiritual exercises, just all of his approach to holiness is just very effective.
Right. I think that I would have the desire to be a Dominican, just because I like the idea of preaching. In fact, I kind of discerned for a little bit the diaconate formation, and I realized that the only reason why I wanted to do that is really because I wanted to preach, which may not be
Everybody listen to me.
Yeah, which kind of isn't the best. So, but I don't think I have the mental capacity probably to actually be a Dominican. I also really like the Benedictine structured prayer, but the Carmelite for me is one that I resonate with quite a bit. The contemplation, the meditation, like some of my best prayers have been in meditation, contemplation.
I think Ignatian is really where you're at. The Jesuits have such a terrible reputation, and justly so. I think rightly so. You just look at the Jesuit priests.
Right.
Like a Jesuit priest these days is either the worst priest you've ever known or the best priest you've ever known. There are some
Father Mitch Pacwa.
There are some Jesuits out there who
phenomenal.
are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's not their spirituality. The whole problem with the Jesuits is a modern problem. They've existed for a long time. The Jesuits are responsible for evangelizing much of the world.
Right.
Okay, so their spirituality is so beautiful.
But I want to ask, okay, so why, like, let's bring it home. Why do men need to know, what's the difference? Like, why
God has a path for you, and knowing the gifts He's given you and the spiritual talents is important so that you can achieve what He wants you to do.
Ooh, spiritual talents.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good one from David Niles. All right. It's a great episode, man. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Spiritual talents.
Do you want to say anything else? You want to kill it?
You got it all worked in there.
That was a really, like,
We crammed it in the last episode.
Yeah,
the last
segment was jam-packed.
You had to keep moving along.
We moved quick.
The Carmelites, I love so much. I wanted to talk about them, but I had to make a choice to leave them out, just because I don't think they fit for most laymen.
Well, because the Carmelites, I could be wrong, but my understanding is Carmelites are more about contemplation in your prayer life, specifically in front of adoration, like in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Is that correct?
I don't know. That could be correct. I know that the Carmelites have gone through several transformations. Saint Teresa of Avila, when she was a nun, in the beginning of her life as a Carmelite was pretty easy, and then she had a deeper conversion that called her to reform the Carmelite order into a life of more asceticism. And so she is responsible for, so in the beginning, the Carmelites were on Mount Carmel, which is in the Holy Land. Okay, so Mount Carmel is
not from Willy Wonka.
not from Willy Wonka. Mount Carmel is there, like in Jerusalem.
Okay.
Okay.
Mount Carmel would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I would dig it.
Yeah.
So much. I love sugar.
Yeah. Big
Sugar
fan.
Sugar is the best.
Big fan.
People who say like, "Oh, I don't like sweets," it's like, well, you're dumb. Okay. So in the beginning,
Kathy just told me adoration is not a Carmelite devotion.
I don't know that it is. It could be.
Well, Kathy just said no, and she's right most of the time. So.
I honestly just don't know.
Okay.
In the beginning, the Carmelite order was very hermit. It was like some lay hermits who went on to Mount Carmel to live. Okay. Then it transformed kind of into more of a priestly order. And by the time St. Teresa of Avila came along, it was kind of Benedictine, and it's like, oh, we come together, we're all living in communities, we do these things, but it wasn't like terribly difficult. They weren't there weren't drastic ascetic practices. And then St. Teresa of Avila said, no, she got permission from a local bishop to start her own like convent, where as a Carmelite, she was going to make it more rigorous. She hand-selected St. John of the Cross to be her companion in this reform. St. John of the Cross, she picked him because he was persecuted by his own Carmelites. In fact, they had him put in jail. His own Carmelite brothers had St. John of the Cross put in jail. And so he was obviously the right candidate for... So while he was in jail, he was writing like the poem he's famous for, which he goes through in A Dark Night of the Soul. And so they together were the duo that reformed the Carmelite spirituality, the Carmelite order, into what we know it to be today, into this rich, beautiful tradition.
What happened with the other one? Did it just fade away, or is it still?
Yeah, they won. Yeah. Avila and John of the Cross, St. Teresa of Avila. In fact, St. Teresa was making such a change, she took a new name under her new, when she started this new monastery. I don't know what it was before, but she just became St. Teresa of Jesus or something. I think it was St. Teresa of Jesus in her new role in the Carmelite order. And so she is the instigator. St. John of the Cross was kind of her protege. That's probably not the right way to put it, because not like he was her Padawan learner or anything. He was a giant in his own right. I mean, he was a mystic, a deep mystic, without St. Teresa of Avila, just because he was a mystic. But they together reformed the Carmelite order.
So looking at men and women with inherent natural gifts, so it's like, would there be an order that would be more prone to benefit from one type of spirituality?
What's your question? I'm sorry.
Like in men and women, in their own natural gifts, like provider.
You're saying like, are women more inclined towards a certain spirituality versus men? Yeah. That's something I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I don't know. That's a good question, Juan. I'm not positive.
I don't know either.
I mean, I think that we're all. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're all called to holiness, but I was just wondering if there's one order that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know the answer.
Kathy Nunick says she's a lay Carmelite.
Well,
so she probably knows.
Nice. That's the Lady of Mount Carmel is my anniversary of consecration to Mary.
Nice. Mine is the feast day of St. Louis de Montfort.
Mine is the presentation.
Nice.
I think people on Facebook should be able to hear you now, Juan, based on what I just did. I don't know.
That is dangerous.
It'd be great if people on Facebook could tell us whether or not
Well,
we can hear Juan
Juan
now.
would have to talk.
He was talking a second ago. Anyway. I just think that this is something that isn't often considered. You know, what's my spirituality? And it can be a gift to know. Often it's a gift that only religious take the time to discern because they kind of have to pick an order.
Right.
You know? And as a layman, it's not like you have to be all in one or the other. You can be a little bit of both, but still knowing a lot. I think a lot of it comes down to what is your personality type. You know, are you type A? Are you like a leader? Are you a follower? All of these things. But if you can learn, like, try some of them. If one of them really speaks to you, then now you kind of can have a groove that you can really develop in, I think.
Well, it's important also when looking at a spiritual director, like sometimes you can think of this very one holy person that has a very structured spirituality on this one type, but if he cannot draw out of view all the other, like, to see, okay, which one is your type of spirituality, and which one could you know, because the way he got so holy may not be the way you're gonna get holy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'll just give you an example of my spiritual director has a very Ignatian spirituality. Okay, and part of the Ignatian spirituality is holy conversation.
Okay. Spiritual
conversation. So his type of spiritual leadership is that way. And I was kind of disillusioned a little bit or taken aback when I first started meeting with him, because I was expecting a spiritual director to, like, give me instructions. Like, okay, here's what I want you to do. Like, until we meet again, I want you to do this and this. Like, give me something that I can be obedient to. And that's not his style. And so at first, I was committed to, like, well, okay, in the beginning, you know, he just doesn't know me well. He's not going to give me orders until he gets to know me better. So I'm going to keep meeting with him until, you know, so he can start to do that. And it didn't happen. But at the same time, I realized like, the spiritual fruits to me were obvious. Like, wow, something definitely happened for me spiritually after meeting with him, even though it wasn't what I was expecting. I wanted, like I said in the beginning, like, one thing I can do is commit. If I say I'm going to do this, or, like, I can be obedient. That's one of the things that I can do. I can, if someone tells me, especially a spiritual director, you will do this, whatever it is they say, I can do it. I will do it. But that didn't happen. But still, I had all of these great things occurring in my spiritual life that was obvious to me was as a result of what I thought was a kind of just a really nice conversation. Like, oh, that was a good spiritual conversation. I'm not sure what I'm getting out of it. But then all of a sudden, I was getting all these things out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Father Max Schmidt talks about, like, if you don't have a spiritual director, picking a set of, like, prayers of devotions and sticking to it for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And just going through it and then reevaluating. So what you were talking about earlier about, oh, if I drop something, well, that could be that it's just you either gained what you had to, or it wasn't what you needed to.
Right.
Man, the intro to the Devout Life, if you don't have a spiritual director, just read that book. It's basically like a spiritual director in book form.
Mm-hmm. Such a good book.
I need to reread that.
I did too.
Because it's been a couple years probably since I've read it.
I finished it about a year ago. It took me a while to read it. I felt I'm prone to falling asleep during books, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that is
hashtag narcolepsy.
Yeah, exactly. But that is an incredible book.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Because he just has, it's not the words of Christ. but he does all these things in that book where he's speaking as if Christ is speaking to you. It's his own words.
Right.
Thomas A. Kempis is.
That's not him.
St. Francis of Sales.
Oh wait. Okay, I'm thinking of
Imitation
of Christ. Okay.
The other Christ.
I was confused. I got those confused. Never mind. Carry on, my wayward son.
Intro to Devout Life is what I was
Yes.
talking about. Have you read that?
Also a good book.
Have you read it?
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
That's one I need to reread.
I also do.
Man, I have so many books. There's a book right over there that I've been wanting to read for a long time on it. Saint Robert Bellman, who's a Jesuit,
Doctor of the Church.
doctor of the
Jesuit.
church,
Yes.
on the councils and the nature and authority of councils,
Mhm.
because that's a good question. Like, what is the nature and authority of councils?
Yeah.
Where is the line drawn? Anyway,
Another one I need to reread is the Bible. Just
yes,
really
I
need
do
to
too.
reread that one. I read it once, and it was like I should probably read it again.
Did you see, like, which spirituality has the most doctors?
I
No.
didn't.
From the
I
saints.
didn't search it. I didn't
That's a good question.
have it categorized that way.
That is a good question, though, Juan. All right, let's shut her down. I have nothing else to say to you.
Just be holy. I just want everyone to be holy.
Yes.